Thanks for being with us, Brewster.
Thanks for having me, Brad. It's great to be here today.
So before we begin, tell us a little bit about Associated Industries of Florida and what do you do for Florida business?
Sure. You know, AIF, Associated Industries of Florida, AIF is a broad-based business trade association founded in 1920 in Jacksonville. And what we do is we advocate for Florida's business community. Our membership crosses all spectrums of Florida industry, banking, insurance, hospitality, agriculture, you name it, and we have members that fall in all of those spectrums of industry here in the state of Florida. And what we do is we go out and we advocate before the Florida legislature, state agencies, the governor's office, on business issues that impact them on a daily basis.
Right. You have a long history of looking out for Florida's business community and really the economy as a whole. We do.
That's what our mission is, and that's what we do for our members each and every day.
All right, well, let's get into one of the core issues of every business, small and large, and that's workers' compensation insurance. This is a huge issue that's cooking right now in the Capitol, and AIF right now, which is the abbreviation for your organization, and we'll do that for the brevity of this interview, is on the front line of this issue. So tell us a little bit about what is the issue, and then we'll get into some more about what's happening.
Sure. You know, what we saw, I think it was last summer, was a Supreme Court decision here in Florida. It was the Castellanos decision, which dealt with attorney's fees as it pertains to workers' compensation rates. In the past, these attorney's fees rates have had a kind of a cap set. What we have seen, you know, what we saw with this court case was those caps essentially being removed. And the case itself was an injured worker was awarded $800 in benefits, and the attorney's fees were $34,000, which is very skewed in our mind. So what AIF did is, after this case, we quickly put together the AIF Workers' Compensation Strategic Task Force, made up of really 5 subcommittees in that group, one being a large employer group, one being a small employer group, one being provider, those being the healthcare providers, one being a domestic insurer group, that being Florida-based insurers dealing with workers' compensation, and a national carriers group, those being the national carriers who operate here in Florida and write workers' compensation claims.
So you're really pulling in all the stakeholders on the business side, small and large businesses, and the providers as well.
Exactly. We brought everybody who is engaged in workers' compensation, brought them to the table. We went around the state and did town halls in certain cities around the state. Our committees started meeting and formulating plans to proposals to bring back to the Florida legislature to show them how they can address this issue that we're having.
Because ultimately the rates went up.
They did.
The costs are starting to impact businesses today, right?
Yep. What we saw was OIR, the Office of Insurance Regulation, come out and put a 14.5% increase on workers' compensation rates for Florida businesses. And it's important to note that it's not just private businesses, it's anybody who's an employer. So you're seeing school districts with a 14.5% increase. Cities, counties, the state are all going to see this 14.5% increase. And look, when you're talking about school districts, you know, a lot of them operate on a shoestring budget anyway. Where are they going to get this extra money, this extra 14.5%? Is that going to come out of the classrooms? We don't believe that should happen. So it doesn't, you know, it's important when we talk about this and this issue that it's not just private businesses. It's your cities, your counties, your school boards.
So it's really every fabric of society and the economy in Florida.
If you employ an individual here in the state, it's going to impact you. Okay. And what we saw was that 14.5% increase. And what our task force did was sat down, everybody got together and sent a proposal 2 weeks ago to the Florida legislature saying here's a good starting point, how we can bring back and reel back that 14.5% increase that everybody is going to be seeing this upcoming year in the state of Florida. All
right, so if we're there, you've sent the proposal to the legislature. Let's talk some about the opportunities and the challenges you're seeing in both chambers in the legislature.
Sure. You know, I think the challenges are many, and probably the biggest one is that this is a very difficult issue to deal with. You've got players on all sides of the ball, surrounding the ball. You know, the trial attorneys are very engaged in this because, you know, they can make a lot more money in this. I mean, as you saw, with an $800 benefit and $34,000 in attorney's fees, and businesses are very engaged. So I think, you know, the problem is, one of the problems is this is such an intricate issue. How do we address it? And bringing what we did was by bringing all players to the table. And we also, I should mention, we had representation from the injured worker community, those being the firefighters union and the police union, who really are those ones who represent the injured workers, because they are a very important part of this entire puzzle as well.
First responders need to be part of that conversation.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what do you see the steps are? How do you see this conversation progressing in this session when so many issues like economic development are taking center stage? How do you push forward an important issue amongst all the other, fray?
I think one of the most important things is just for businesses out there now to contact their elected officials, to let them know, hey, this is something we're looking at. And it's also important, and one of the conversations that we have when we're up talking to the Florida legislature is this is making Florida a more expensive place to do business. One thing that's important to note is that when we had that 14.5% increase, Florida dropped, or actually probably better terminology is increased and jumped 10 states for a more costly place to do business.
Wow.
And very interesting in that is that 3 of the states that we fell below or jumped above are Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, are competing neighbor states. So, when you're looking at, if you're a company looking to maybe move to Florida, grow your business in Florida, that is something, this 14.5% is something that they obviously look at because it is a big cost driver for those businesses.
Well, Brewster, thanks for everything that you're doing in this fight for Florida's businesses and the economy, and we appreciate you stopping by. Quickly, if people want to get involved, how do they do it?
Go to AIF's website, www.aif.com. We also have a website, Helping Florida Work.
Got it.
And go to that. Read about the issue. Contact your legislators, and that's the best way to move forward.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by FCTA, and we appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for being such a great partner with AIF in this fight.
Thank you.